Hello. Our group did a community assessment on the city of Niceville. We used a strengths-based approach to thoroughly examine several categories, just like all the other groups did, all those factors, to include housing, employment, geography, power structures, etc., to get a full picture of Niceville without having a preconceived notion on what the problems are. And we did find several strengths. Niceville has higher home ownership rates. Niceville has not a bedroom community as I originally assumed. It actually does have some valid employment opportunities from hospitals and schools. It has its own university there. It's no longer a college, it's a state university. There's also employment just 6 miles down the road at Eglin Air Force Base, as well as a reasonably quick commute to Destin, where there's several opportunities for employment via the Mid-Bay Bridge. Niceville is a tight-knit community. Its political voting structure isn't based upon political parties. You can vote on the political platforms. One initial concern was that there have been individuals in power on the political side for over 40 years, but those same people have also been major contributors to the strengths of Niceville. And another thing is there is representation on the Okaloosa County Commission of Niceville political leaders, so Niceville does have a voice when allocating county resources. So there are several strengths to this community. Public housing is another strength. They're noted for their clean facilities and their upkeep. Another strength is Niceville's overall visual appeal. It has good schools and excellent athletic programs. So there's lots to be said for this community. However, no matter how strong a community is, there's always room for improvement. So doing a thorough assessment will show gaps in the support structure of any community, and Niceville is no exception. And the intent of finding these gaps is not to criticize, but as social workers, we are here to help advocate for disadvantaged populations and strengthen communities so that way the client can effectively interact with the systems in place and everyone can benefit. Our reading on page 35 goes over macro practice plan change. There's a specific process, and stage 1 is engagement, which is engaging with the community doing this assessment, which leads us into stage 2, the actual assessment. Now, the assessment and then planning stage is all part of the prepare process. That's the sub-process involved. Prepare stands for identify problems to address, review your macro and personal reality. 3, establish primary goals. 4, which is P again, identify people of influence. That's why we paid special attention to sources of power, not just roles of power, but also unofficial power, people who initiate change, and their reputation, people who feel that they can influence others. 5, which is the A, assess potential financial costs and benefits to a client and agency for your proposed macro level change. R, review professional and personal risk to yourself in instituting and advocating for this macro level change. And last stage in prepare, E, evaluate the potential success of a macro change process. Now, on the plan stage process, we've covered engagement, assessment, and planning. The next stages are implementation of the actual change and the evaluation of the outcome of that change. Those two portions of the change process are the sub-process of the acronym IMAGINE. According to page 35 of our reading, IMAGINE is an acronym standing for I, starting with an innovative idea. M, mustering support and formulating an action system. A, identifying assets. G, specifying goals. objectives and action steps to attain them. I, implementing the plan. N, neutralizing opposition to the plan. And E, once again, is evaluating. Unlike the prepare process, you're not evaluating the potential success. And imagine you've actually initiated the plan and now you're evaluating the outcome. And after the imagine process, the last two steps of the change process at the macro level is termination, stopping the change process, whether it's because the program's complete or evaluation determined the problem no longer had the viable solution, or changing your action steps to meet the solution. And the final step would be follow-up. So I said before, I named previous strengths, but I did say that there are weaknesses that we did identify. We found several of them. We actually did not expect this, but I believe because there's such a strong military influence of leadership, and that is primarily male, perhaps that's why there's not a lot of female representation in power roles, which why they may be inadvertently not paying attention to and focusing on resources for women, specifically women of low socioeconomic status. Because of the individuals below the poverty line in Niceville, according to U.S. Census data 2010, 30% of those individuals are female-headed households. So there's a target population that's at risk that may not be getting all the services they need. We do have a quality public housing system, but that's not going to apply to everybody. There's lots of sub things we can do to help alleviate the problems and help integrate them with the system to make sure that they can give back to society and vice versa to make it a symbiotic relationship. Like I said, we identified several problems and potential action steps. My group members are going to focus on the key things and using the plan stage process that I just discussed. They will go through start to finish how they are going to implement a solution and implement a plan to a proposed change to fix a problem and go through that process to fix that problem and eventually come up with a solution. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to leave the rest to my group, and I'll be thinking of you while I'm at drill. Take care.